Hi, welcome to my Fluffy Flowers garden. It's early evening here in my garden, and today we're going to do a book review of this brand new book, fresh off the printing press. A Year at Brandywine Cottage, 6 Seasons of Beauty, Bounty, and Blooms by David Culp, the author of The Layered Garden. And I just want to point out that this book is written with Denise Cowie and photographs by Cardillo. When you're in isolation, you cannot help but start shopping online, especially since I had planned this entire spring of 2020 with a plethora of garden tours that didn't happen and I didn't get to take. So I consider this brand new book a wonderful substitute for some of those garden tours. This is a book that really talks about how to live the gardening life, and I really enjoyed it a lot. The first wonderful thing you see is the end pages. Beautiful, beautiful rendered end pages of illustration of his garden, a garden map, complete with a key of what to find where in the garden. I love fabulous end papers. Fabulous end papers are a wonderful start to a beautiful book. Timber Press was kind enough to print this book, and we thank them so much for the many, many beautiful books that they have given us over the years. And I just adore the dedication that he has for gardeners and everyone who enjoys connecting with nature 12 months a year. That's me, and that's probably you too. And for Vita, February 2014 to June 2019, who loved the garden. Spoiler alert, Vita is a very cherished four-legged creature who lived in this garden. Copyright 2020, David L. Culp, all rights reserved. Photographs 2020, Cardillo, published in 2020 by Timber Press. This book is laid out in the gardening year, with from early spring to late spring, summer, early fall, late fall, winter, and a whole lot of resources. Cardillo is the one who photographed the images that went into this book, and frankly, he was the right choice. I have to say, Rob has some stunning photographs. One of the things that David talks about in this prologue is about the 6 seasons that he experiences in his garden. Now let's remember that he's in the Pacific Northwest, and this garden you're looking at right now, y'all, Zone 8, Macon, Georgia, USDA Zone 8. Yeah, it gets a lot hotter down here. That doesn't mean that I can't enjoy this book still. This is about living the life in a garden, living the gardening life. And he talks about the 6 seasons he experiences in his garden. And I got to thinking about those different 6 seasons that he talks about in the introduction. And I realized, holy cats, y'all, I literally have 2 seasons. It gets so hot down here. It's either on or it's off. You're either in the garden or you're behind the window panes in the air conditioning and admiring your garden from inside. But either way, you're experiencing your garden in some way, just different ways. So I thought that was very interesting to think about from the way that we experience our gardens. He starts this year-long odyssey in February, in early spring, and he devotes a significant amount of time to hellebores and plants of that ilk, wintertime plants that give beauty and color during a time when there might not be any. I liked that about this book, that he went into a deep, deep dive into various parts of his favorite flower. He also includes several recipes in the book. Recipes that his family uses. I don't necessarily cook myself, but I thought that was a lovely, holistic way of looking at the garden as a place that not only you give to, but you take from. And the vegetable garden, as we'll see later on in this book, plays a pivotal role in the overall view of the garden. March of the hellebores. I loved it when we got to July and we started talking about the summer garden. There are some amazing aerial photographs, and this one of the vegetable garden is fantastic. He talks a lot about the vegetable garden being the center of the garden. This is another beautiful aerial photograph. This is another beautiful aerial photograph of the ruin garden. He also has some great photographs of different parts of his garden in different seasons. This is a great one where he shows in the top picture how different everything looks in a drier year. And the Mediterranean plants are happier in the ruin garden. And then the bottom photograph is the wetter year. And lots of different plants take over. The last chapter in the book is January, which you might normally think of as maybe the first chapter in most books, but I kind of think that it's cool that he ends with January because, as he says, January is a time for dreaming of things to come, of planning for the future. And isn't that when all of our seed catalogs come and all the promise of the spring that could be, the promise that of a spring that we dream of so much? And so I love it that he ends with that. Really enjoyed his epilogue where he talked a bit about beauty in the garden, because beauty is always something that I'm striving for. And what he says about beauty is that beauty is not perfection. I'm much more inclined to believe there is beauty in imperfection, or as the traditional Japanese concept of wabi-sabi decrees, in beauty, nothing is permanent, nothing is perfect. For me, beauty in the garden includes aging, and it includes creating habitats for other creatures, not just ourselves. I love that. One of the things I said I wanted to do was to have a beautiful garden. And that can mean so very many different things. When I moved into this suburban plot, I don't know, 15 odd years ago, this little scrap of land here was pretty much barren of any life whatsoever, except grass and one azalea shrub. That was it. Let me tell you, y'all. I took one look at this dead wasteland, and I said, oh no, I can't have this. I've got to have life. I've got to have life here. I've got to have something alive. Something alive and things that are coming through this space that are alive. And that's one of the things I've worked toward, is to try to provide some kind of habitat for a variety of creatures to enjoy. And we certainly have had our share of creatures here in the Fluffy Flowers garden. A couple of last notes on David's book. He's got some awesome resources, his favorite places. He has his acknowledgments, and what can I say? I cannot help myself. I'm a sucker for a really good index, and he does indeed have that, so that you can look things up that you are searching for in his garden. I hope you consider picking David's book up at the bookstore, or if we ever are allowed to get back to our libraries, maybe one day you can check it out from there. For now, you can certainly order it online. I did, and I think it was worth every penny, because in these trying times, I think we're all trying to lead the garden life. I know I am, much more than I ever have considered before. And this is an inspiring book that's going to help me do that. Thank you for being here with us tonight in the Fluffy Flowers garden. If you've enjoyed your visit to the garden, please hit the like button, and I hope that you will subscribe to my YouTube channel, Fluffy Flowers TV, and we'll see you next time in the garden.